Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Macon-Bibb County Commission Chambers. Today we've got a public hearing concerning public input on Downtown Business Improvement District. And this time I'll ask Ms. Erin Keller to move forward to the microphone. And she's going to do a presentation. I think she has about 6 slides and be willing to answer any questions. And we'll move right into our meeting, pre-commission meeting directly after that. So thank you for being here with tonight, and we'll turn it over to you and to our comms team if you've got a slide that's going to present.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for this opportunity to share a little bit of our success with the Downtown Business Improvement District. For those that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Erin Keller, and I'm the Chief of Staff and Vice President for Development at Newtown Macon. Since the BID's inception, I have served as a staff liaison. And just a quick refresher, unlike the eBID, the Downtown BID does not directly employ any individuals. Instead, Newtown has formed a subsidiary, LLC Newtown BID Management, and we have an operating agreement with the 7-member board. And as you can see from the screen, these are the 7 individuals that represent their fellow property. They were elected, and so they are the ones who actually, per the district plan, have full autonomy in terms of and full discretion in fiscal decisions as well as programming. I just serve at their pleasure. And since 2019, this board has been focused on leveraging resources, and that is obviously working very closely with county departments and entities to really expand on the resources that we each have. And the board has also invested about $250,000 in infrastructure improvements, and here you see this is the first one that I will share. This is 3rd Street Park, so directly across from Union Furniture and Piedmont Brewery and Kitchen. The second one, this is Poplar Park, so this is actually immediately across the street from Taste and See, Your Pie, as well as Newtown's office, and this space really became more flexible and a place where it's not as cluttered and where people actually linger. And lastly, our most recent project, we installed 36 light fixtures in all of the 20-foot alleyways, worked very closely with facilities as well as Georgia Power and Wimberley Treadwell. In fact, all the projects that I've named only happened because of pure collaboration. Now, these projects are very important, don't get me wrong. However, the BID's bread and butter BID's daily bread and butter are the high-level services, sophisticated as well as attention detail services that are delivered each day. And as you can see from the stat sheet, these are the things that actually make our downtown the place where everybody wants to come. And honestly, the BID success is inextricably tied to the future as well as current success that we are all experiencing downtown today. And these are the people that are behind that success. And I think that's also a point to note that we're supplementing the current 2 downtown park and beautification employees with nearly 6 FTEs, full-time employees. And these are the people that you see today. So these services that you saw on the prior slide, these are the individuals that are executing those each and every day. And like I said, the services that are being provided are inextricably tied to downtown's current and future success. If we'd like to think of downtown as the county's living room, we have to make sure that it's clean, prepped, and kept. And so this is definitely the group that has been committed to that for quite some time now. And then lastly, the reason why that was a little bit just a brief update, but why I'm here is, as you know, each taxation district, or for the BID specifically, has a 6-year lifespan. That BID, the first iteration BID started in 2017, so it matures at the end of June this year. But knowing the importance of the BID, the board actually elected to go ahead and start early. So as of September of last year, we had received the monetary value collected votes that needed to reinstate the district for another 6 years. So right now we are looking to you all to adopt the new district. And in addition, what you also have, you have one map that is from 2017 to 2023, which is the first district map. And then the second one is the 2023 to 2029. And we not only renewed the district, but we actually went ahead and expanded the boundaries to the entire CBD. So the entire CBD will now be open to these services. And as development continues to push more west, it would have definitely been a little bit short-sighted of us if we did not go ahead and elect to get the full district. So we've got enough votes to reinstate the district as well as implement the new district boundaries. And that's all that I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Just to remind everyone, this downtown property owners voted themselves to pay an additional millage rate
Yes, sir.
for the improvements that are happening downtown. And you got the requisite votes from the number of parcels, and you expanded the district this year. So thank you for being here tonight. I know I have a question from Commissioner Bronson.
Hey, first and foremost, thank you for the presentation and your efforts to keep the area clean and moving forward. Just out of curiosity, when it boils down to recycling, and I know we have a presentation coming up about that, when it boils down to recycling, where are we at with getting recycling bins for the district as we expand throughout?
We're happy to implement whatever it is that you see fit, but right now that's beyond our jurisdiction and we don't have regulatory power. So whatever y'all decide, we're definitely open to putting up cans and whatever else. But right now, solid waste does not have any capabilities to take recycling. So
Okay.
it's trash, unfortunately.
Okay, cool beans. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you, Mr. Bronson. We do have this on as an item on the regular agenda, but we wanted to have a public hearing here on this matter now, so we could ask any questions that we need to prior to our meeting tonight. So thank you for being here today. We'll vote on this and take this up on our pre-commission or our main commission tonight at 6 o'clock. And we're looking forward to a continued working relationship, and thank you for the wonderful job that you do to represent our community.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Thank you. Commissioners, we're going to move right on to our regular business tonight for our pre-commission. We'll begin with the approval of the minutes. That's item A, which is the approval of minutes from the February 21st, 2023 meeting. Can we get a motion to approve? Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. We have a couple of appointments tonight, one new appointment and one renewal appointment tonight. That is item 2A, which is a resolution appointing Yvonne Holmes to the Macon-Bibb County Board of Tax Assessors. You should have received all the information concerning Ms. Holmes. I think most of you know who she is. She is here tonight, and we are going to make this recommendation to commission. At this time, we'll ask for a motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Bronson, second by Commissioner Lucas. Oh, Commissioner Wynn, I'm sorry. And then Commissioner Lucas, you'll have a question?
Yeah, I just like hearing from the folks
Sure.
that we're
Ms. Holmes, would you mind coming up to the microphone if you don't mind just a second? It is a replacement. It is a replacement for Billy Pitts. Miss Holmes, if you don't mind, I think Miss Lucas always likes to hear about how excited you are to join this board and what kind of plans you have, and anything else you want to volunteer to this board.
That's you.
I'm excited, just still, keeping things at a balance so that I am in a learning mode and also be able to give to the community and to the commission whatever is needed for the assessors.
Okay. Tell us what makes you qualified for.
Well, I've served on I am kind of coming off of the Board of Equalization, so I have the other side of what it's like to be asking the questions from the tax assessors and making sure that they're, falling in line what we're requesting of them for the taxpayers.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Now, Ms. Mayor, I just think it's important. This may be, I and some others may see Mrs. Holmes from time to time, in different events. But this, for some of us, this is the only time that we'll get a chance to see you and to hear you and to hear of your qualifications. And so I just think it's important. So thank you.
Okay, you're certainly welcome.
Certainly, thank you. Commissioner Watkins, do you have a question, sir? Okay. Well, we do, at this time, we'd entertain a motion for approval. Well, I'm sorry, we had a motion for approval. We got a question, I'm sorry. We had a motion and we had a second by Commissioner Wynn instead of Commissioner Lucas. She asked her a question. At this time, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of appointing Yvonne Holmes to the Macon-Bibb County Board of Tax Assessors, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries, will be sent to consent agenda tonight. Thank you for being here. Item B is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission reappointing Jonathan Alderman to the Macon-Bibb County Board of Tax Assessors. Mr. Alderman has been there, have served well. You should have received all of his information. There's no need for him to be here since he's a reappointment. And that would be my motion to approve. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner, was that Wilder? Commissioner Wilder. Any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries, will be sent to consent agenda. Item 3A is a, I'm sorry.
Their prior service, so I think they ought to be asked to come. As I said, this is probably the only time that we'll get a chance to see many of the folks who are being appointed, and then they go off and they do good work. We know that, but I would like for them to, for us to ask that they come, whether they're being appointed the first time or reappointed.
Yes, ma'am, I'll take that under advisement. We're going to move on
Thank
to
you.
item 3.
Does that?
That means I'll take it under
We'll
advisement.
talk.
That's exactly what that means.
Uh-huh.
Item 3A is a
Yeah.
resolution to appoint Ms. Laura Hardwick as Director of Procurement. Ms. Hardwick's here tonight? Okay. Now, does any of y'all don't know Ms. Hardwick? The lady on your screen. You should all know her. She's been working with us for quite a while, and we had a position become available that she applies for, and she was vetted out by our committee, and they have made a recommendation that I'm making a recommendation to you tonight for her. I assume that she was already here. I apologize. Okay. There she is. Ms. Hardwick, if you don't mind coming forward, thank you for being here tonight. I was just explaining to the commission that you have been here for a long period of time and have served our community well. And you applied for the job that we have posted on our site like we normally do. And after vetting the process, the committee recommended you as a recommendation of their approval to me. And tonight I am making a recommendation to hire you as our Director of Procurement for Macon-Bibb County. And then Commissioner always likes us to have our folks here. And so we had you here tonight. So they may ask you any questions, or if you may tell us why you think you want to continue working and doing a good job for Macon-Bibb County.
Well, I've been here now a year and I think 10 months. Yes, I've been here a year and 10 months. It's been a pleasure working for Macon-Bibb County. I enjoy working with the staff. Got a wonderful staff. They're here to support me. They're behind me. And I just learned so much on a local level versus the state level. But I appreciate everything that I have learned since I've been here. I see what a great asset Macon-Bibb County is to the Macon-Bibb community, and I just want to be a part of it.
Okay. Any questions for her before we make the recommendation? Is that hard? All right. At this time, I'd entertain a motion for approval. A motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Lucas. Any further discussions? Hearing no discussions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. And I think it says a lot that all of our staff is here willingly tonight in support of her. So thank you for being here tonight, and we look forward to continuing our relationship with you. Thank you. You may be seated now.
All right, thank you.
All right. We have the new alcohol beverages license, something we look forward to doing every day. And tonight we have Mr. Frank Howard, who's our attorney, and he can introduce himself again if you'd like to. But we have item 4A, which is the Longleaf Distillery, located at 664 2nd Street. This is a cocktail room. This is a distillery, I guess, for liquors. And anything you need to add to that, Mr. Howard?
I reviewed this application. It meets all the legal requirements, and I recommend approval of the application. Not at this time. I plan to do so in the near future.
At this time, we need a motion for approval. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones, I think I heard. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries, will be sent to consent agenda. Item B is 2840 Riverside LLC, doing business as a Marathon, located at 2840 Riverside Drive. You can see a picture there. Mr. Howard, what can you tell us about that?
This license, I reviewed the application, and they meet all the legal requirements. I move for acceptance of their alcohol license application.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further questions for Mr. Howard regarding this item? Commissioner Wynn?
Picture, but where is it on Riverside? I don't.
By King Alfred Drive, 2840 Riverside Drive.
Good. Attorney Howard.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Howell, do you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I was just, Ms. Wynn said something about where that was at. It's right across the street from Howell's Exxon. And it's also the first business that service station is the first business I operated out of high school, but I'm no longer associated with it that way, so I won't recruit myself from the vote. That was 1976, by the way.
Well, thanks for telling us your age. So we do have a motion and second. There's no further questions. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. It will be sent to consent agenda. Item C, and I don't want to butcher this name, is Zilliard LLC, DBA's Food Mart, located at 1105 Gray Highway. You can see a picture of that one as well. And what can you tell us about this, Mr. Howard?
I reviewed this application. It meets all legal requirements, and I recommend approval of this application.
Okay, and this is indeed a Food Mart, and it also has a gas station. Is that correct? It's called Food Mart, but it's a gas station.
That is correct,
Okay.
yes.
Want to make sure. At this time, I entertain a motion for approval. A motion by Commissioner Lucas. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Bronson, you have a question?
I was just going to ask, how many liquor stores or food areas do we have on Great Highway, out of curiosity?
Yeah, we have prepared a map of all these alcohol sales. Mr. Lucas has asked for a period of time. You'll have that this week.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can you take a vote?
I know we have not voted.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, that motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item D is a Lucky Food Mart located at 3390 LLC DBA Lucky Food Mart located at 3990 Jeffersonville Road. What do you say about that, Mr. Howard?
I reviewed this application and recommend approval because they meet all legal requirements. There are multiple Lucky Food Marts.
Right.
This one meets all legal requirements to my.
At this time, we entertain. I'm sorry, Commissioner Watkins, you got a question, sir?
So is the Lucky like a local franchise all owned by the same set of companies or something? Or?
The ones I've reviewed have been, at least on paper, different owners or different agents have applied for each one.
And just sometimes you just have to remind me, like these are not renewals, but these are new license requests in existing structures.
Correct, Commissioner. These are either new businesses or transfers of businesses from one owner to another.
And like you say, your review is that the transfer is totally normal. The previous owner isn't in any trouble with the state or any of that type of stuff. It's just an arm's length transaction that's occurring.
Commissioner, I reviewed this application in accordance with the laws of Macon-Bibb County and Georgia law, and I did not see anything contrary to the law in this application.
It just seems like a strange. We deal with it at a high volume here, and this has always struck me as a strange business maneuver that I can never really. I don't think any of us has ever figured out why these things occur, because it doesn't seem like money gets exchanged, but. I don't know, but anyway, I yield.
Thank you. At this time, I'd make a motion for approval. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries, will be sent to consent agenda. Item 5A, and I've neglected to tell the commissioners we do have a need to go into executive session for the pre-commission, so we'll do that tonight. But item 5A is an ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $3,582,130 from the 2018 SPLOST proceeds for closure of the Walker Road landfill and continue improvement to the Lake Tobosoffke recreational area. My understanding is this amount of money has already been appropriated, but we're moving that forward. I mean, we're moving this forward on the timeline and appropriating this money for the lake, as well as some money that was not appropriated as of yet to the landfill, which we'll be discussing at the next item. Anyone need any further explanation on this particular item 5A? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Lucas.
At some point, I know we're going to get a follow-up report as to where we are.
He's here tonight. We're going to do that next.
Because I know there were a lot of,
Yeah.
I know we're probably not going to do it.
We're going to do it next as soon as we get through this item. I got
Okay, that's
Mr.
fine.
Hostel right
I'd
there.
just like to know where we are in
Yeah.
that process.
Yeah, we'll do that. Commissioner Watkins?
I would like more information.
Okay. Ms. Moore, Dr. Moffitt want to tell us more information on this particular. I know Mr. Hotster will be testifying, giving information. Just
Yeah, so this item, as you said, is moving money up on the timeline for the two categories for work to be done at Lake Tobosoffke and for work to start the process of closure. So again, per your requirements, and we set the timeline, we are moving money up to go ahead and do these items
And help me out, where we're moving it up from what?
from some subsequent or future years. So moving money up. We have the cash in the SPLOST to go ahead and address some of these things. So the
So
recommendation.
what's moving back? Because I know for years, in order to move money up, we would have to push something to the side to
We did,
keep
but
everything even.
we've got cash on hand now because we haven't done the big projects. So this is moving, as it says on your notes there, that there is $622,130 in calendar year 2027 in recreation, and they're moving that up to calendar year 23 for Tobosoffke. There's 2.9 in calendar year 2025 in landfill closure, and we're moving that up to calendar year 2023 landfill closure. And the remaining $585,000 of all the remaining funds that is in landfill closure currently in the line of machinery and equipment is going to the property line.
And I'm to understand we won't need that money in 2027 and 2025, like we're moving.
Yeah, we're just moving it up so we can use it now, so we can go ahead and close the landfill, so EPD will leave us alone.
Okay.
You are
Yeah,
correct. We do not need to move any money back. We have cash on hand because we've not completed some of the other projects. So money has been coming in, so we're able to address these items now.
What is the current surplus?
I wouldn't call it a surplus, but what we had is you had a specific amount of money that was approved in the last SPLOST, and we are about 18 months ahead of collection, so you're not going to make it to 2027, 2028. So basically, this money is something we're going to ahead and use because the funds have already been collected faster than we thought they were going to be collected, so now we're putting those out and getting the work done. In the past, you did the guidelines because you would wait for either go out and borrow money and create debt service to do some of these projects ahead of time, or just simply wait until you collected the money before you did the project. But now we're in a situation, since we've collected faster than we thought we were, we have money on hand, so we don't have to do that. So we're moving it up in the timeline to go ahead and knock these projects out when we can.
So, like, roughly, we estimated we were going to collect how much each year, and how much did we collect last year? I guess would be my next question.
I think we originally estimated like 32 million or something along those lines, and we're closer to 40. And if you're asking for cash on hand for the SPLOST, it's 24 million.
Okay. Commissioner Brown, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So in theory, we could do 24 million of projects that were slated for 25 and beyond. I guess now, if it was shovel ready.
You'll remember, I think it was last month, that you went ahead and appropriated what is going to happen in 2023. A lot of that is obligations you've already made, where we give money to the industrial authority or other entities when we did the Department of Health. So some of that's already accounted for, but we do feel comfortable that we have the money to move forward with this landfill closure, just moving it up in the timeline because we do have cash on hand.
And cash on hand is 24 million, and most of that is unencumbered, other than the two. If we pass this today, some of that will be encumbered.
It's
Some
not
of it still is.
unencumbered.
Some
It's not
of it is.
unencumbered?
If you did the long-term agreements with Department of Health and River Edge and some things that we pay them just annually. All of that is already encumbered.
Do we have a number of what's unencumbered today?
For you, but I certainly didn't come tonight with that, but I could get it.
Commissioner Bronson?
Hey, thank you for that. So I know that the 2018 was well before us on this end. So in regards to the funds that we currently have and we're working with now, are we able to utilize some of those funds in regards to signage, right, for illegal dumping sites, i.e. Evergreen area, behind Memorial Gym, to kind of encourage people to use the convenience centers? Is there any way to utilize, hey, we're closing down the landfill, but we really want to encourage people to go back and use the convenience center? Is there any way of using that funds for that?
I don't think we need to use SPLOST funds for that. We really like it to be capital and not repairs, and we have an ability to make signs in-house, so we can deal with that differently, just not through SPLOST.
Cool beans. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner Bronson. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 5A. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any further discussion? Commissioner Watkins?
So again, no opposition at all to using this money for whatever y'all doing at the landfill. I'm still curious as to what that is, but no opposition at all. But a step further, if I'm understanding correctly, there are some extra funds, or it seems to be some funds available, and there are some other concern areas that me and other commissioners have. So I would love to have further conversation on how we can execute some of this, I guess, additional SPLOST money or unencumbered SPLOST dollars for some other community concerns.
Well, please be reminded that the SPLOST is specific to the SPLOST projects that are outlined via the resolution and labeled in the wording. So those SPLOST funds have to go to those projects until they are deemed significantly complete. And so some projects still are being worked on.
Yeah, to further clarify Dr. Moffitt's point, and Commissioner Watkins, you are correct. There are going to be some amount of monies that are not spoken for specifically that was in the SPLOST. We have had our attorneys going through to see what specifically was voted on for the SPLOST that was called out by name, and then what items were placed in buckets by the commission at that time on projects they wanted to do. Those are not specifically in the SPLOST, but it may be like recreation, maybe a certain project. It's not mandated that that particular money goes to those particular projects, but they were the wishes at the time of the commissioner sitting in those seats.
Yep.
So there is amount of money. I think Clay Murphy gave that to y'all last year, but we'll be updating that after we get through these mandatory expenditures that we have to do. And we're going to do the ones that we're required to do that the voters approved. And then after we allocate all those funds to those mandated items, any funds that are not claimed at that point in time will go on to those buckets that were approved by the voters at that time. And that will be an opportunity for commissioners to move money from one project to the other if you deem it's no longer needed or useful or relevant at this time.
So just familiar with all that. We've had the conversations a few times. And I don't know if y'all consider the projects at Unionville Gym and Memorial Gym, which were mentioned and have already been paid for in the SPLOST, closed. But there are some, again, issue areas in those two areas alone that we could spend six-figure to $1 million on, again, upgrading or correcting. So how that factors in, like I say, is already on the SPLOST list. It remains as, like, and there are several other issue areas that qualifies for as well. I don't know if a work session is in session appropriate or just information gathering, because it does seem like a significant pot of money that could do a lot of good for our community. And I think I'm not sure exactly what your closure, and I just hadn't seen any documents to define it for us, what is closed and what's opened. And again, what pots are available for us to have these conversations on, I think would be very useful.
That'll be some good information. We'll ask Mr. Murphy to put that timeline together for us to find out what we got, and we'll get together with council to see what's qualified. We still have large buckets of money that was allocated for things like the courthouse that we're going to bring a plan to discuss to you in the very near future. But there's also plenty of money that was set aside for recreations, but not specifically voted in these recreations. So this commission can decide whether to add more, subtract, or alternate projects on there. And that's what we'll be bringing forth to you. So we're working on getting that information to you. And I'll have Mr. Husser will address the other issue in just a second on this. But this landfill has to be closed. SPOS money was designated for that, and item had to be moved up for tonight for that purpose.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, you said Memorial and what other one?
So I know, so Memorial and Unionville are close to me, but I'm sure if you talk to some other commissioners, they probably have some gaps in their recreation centers as well.
If you
Booker
look
T,
at the
yeah.
what's in your packet, the timeline that's in there, you'll see that there is some money available for Memorial a few years out.
Yeah, I want to move
So
it
if-
up. That's what
yes,
I'm talking
that's what I'm saying.
about.
So if
Right,
you have
right. If we're moving
specific
stuff up,
items
I wanna be able
and
to
talk
move
to
it up.
Robert and make sure that that's something we would need to do, then same thing, you can begin moving forward. But we will get a list of everything that is, scheduled out to be paid, so that you know that we can't do all the projects right now, but we certainly have the money to move some of these forward, including Memorial.
I think the main thing we have to concern ourselves is which one are we 100% obligated to complete that was voted on specifically by the voters, and which ones that were requested as a wish list from commissioners, and there's been discussion on there, but there has not been any final determination made by this commission, which decides how to spend the money on what projects. And certainly if there's money that needs to be moved forward, we will be moving forward with that money to make sure that we exhaust the funds in a manner that the voters chose to do so. Commissioner Tillman.
Now, Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna say this: whether you guys were here or not, when a SPLOST, a road work project, or anything is voted on by the citizens, for elected officials, community leaders, and stakeholders to get out there and advocate for it, we do it. I had the pleasure of riding down Jeffersonville Road last week. Hadn't been over there in God knows when. And it is beautiful. I didn't even recognize the place. And so to sit here and say, prioritizing, we did that at a retreat. Although new commissioners and a new administration is on board, you still carry out the work of the commission and the government body that was set forth. It's ironic, I just happened to ask today, when I came, about how much money we had for Fillmore Thomas Park, which is $1.7 million. And so whether it's a wish list or what have you, we had over 28 meetings in that community, and that is the money that's set aside. So some people see recreation as a priority, some people see public safety as a priority, but the voters see it all as a priority. And so in 2023, our records show that Fillmore Thomas Park is up for their $1.7 million this year in 2023. So I don't know how we deem what projects are more important than others, but what we have is we have Clay Murphy that's in charge, and he has done a great job, in my estimation, in my opinion, over the years, and so we have to loop them all together. And simultaneously, just like Fillmore Thomas was being built, Log Cabin Drive was being simultaneously resurfaced at the same time. And so it's about bidding and putting out engineering and so forth. And as a matter of fact, I think it's 2.7. Is it 2.7 for Fillmore or 1.7? 2.7 million dollars. And so so we listen. we want our money for our project. And I think our project is just as important as any other project. And you can ask the folks over there in Jeffersonville that's waited over 20-some years. And y'all ride out there, because I was pleasantly surprised. I kept looking like, am I in Macon, Georgia? What is this? I had not seen it. So commend y'all for working on it. But please, I think just you have to be mindful of some of the terminology, because we're going to need another OLAS, a SPLOST, and so forth. And we got to be careful when we use certain language like that, because the people will remember, and they'll think we're not doing what we're supposed to do with it. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tillman. I will tell you, I'm very mindful of the language, but I'm also very mindful of the law. And we want to make sure that those projects that were required and specifically voted on and listed as a requirement by the voters that we do first. Those projects that you, this commission, previous commission, can't bind another commission. You know that, I know that. Can't bind another commission on these other things that you wanted to do. At the same time, as you recall, prices have increased. So you have to be careful that some of those projects that might have used to cost $1 million may cost $2 million at this point in time, several years later, as we've seen recently. So we're doing those projects that are absolutely required to do, like closing the landfill, that we are going to do, and those other projects that are worthy projects that were included by the previous commission is something that we'll all need to discuss as this commission, because it's on your plate to determine if those needs are still there, and together, especially with our recreation with Robert Walker. So I think I saw Commissioner Wynn's hand up.
Yes, sir, thank you. I apologize if this was in the attachment, but what are the continued improvements for Lake Tobo Recreation Area? The public doesn't get what we get, so maybe to let them hear that too, and how much money is allotted for that, and how much have we not done that's been scheduled to be done?
Page 6.
The 622 is to finish out some of the projects they've been doing around the RV camps, like making the where they have to pull up to spaces better. And they're also looking at some upgrades to bathroom facilities and just little things that need to be upgraded to finish out the work there at Tobosoffke.
Because I know we had done some of those things, or worked on some of those things. Bathrooms have been worked on, and
but not all of them. But not all of them. But a large part of this is around the RV park.
So how much more money is left to spend on that?
Oh gosh!
Out of this amount that we're talking about here, pretty close to being through with that, though.
We are getting close to being finished. Some of the money we're holding back is to determine whether we need to do additional work at the dam.
Oh, okay.
So we're holding on some of that.
Okay, so how much money do we still have there?
If this is moving up, it's still going to be about $4 million.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we have a motion and a second. If no further questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item B is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Piedmont Mining, LLC, for the closure of the Walker Road landfill in an amount of $9,396,938.98 to be paid from the 2018 SPLOST funds, Walker Road landfill. At this time, I'll ask Dr. Moffitt to lead this effort.
And this is Exhibit A of the great conversation that you just had. When we talk about prioritizing projects, this was one that was a cloud over our head because of the implications when working with EPD that we would have had to pay significant fines and other things if we do not complete said work at the landfill. And said work at the landfill is finally closing it. For the last 2 years at least, we've come to you about how we are going about doing that. We did a lot of the work, well, I'll say in-house, but we hired Hofstetter's and Associates to manage the pre-work to help address some of the things that would be in the construction contract for closing the landfill. And by doing that, if you recall, we had conversation, we had to go in and do some slopes. We had a lot of leachate outbreaks, a tremendous amount of work in moving dirt, moving trash to kind of line it up to where when the companies that were going to bid on it could give us the best price. And again, that was a cloud over our head. We had no idea what the final price was going to be. We were expecting to be much higher than what it came in. So I would give kudos to Hofstetter and Associates for the pre-work that helped us come in with this price here of $9.3 million to close the landfill. It is the goal to pass this tonight, have the pre-construction meeting within the next week, have that company ready to come in 3 weeks for us to send EPD the letter that the landfill is officially closed. They are waiting on that letter. Then we will anticipate anywhere from 6 months to 1 year for the construction. And when we say construction, that is the official closure where they come in and put a cap on it, they grass it, they do all the well repairs, they move wells, they install the new ones. All that is included in this. Tremendous amount of work, but we will be in compliance with the EPD closure. And for those of you that have been in this community know that we've been talking about closing this landfill for 30 years. So we are finally there tonight with the approval of this contract.
And if you have Mr. Hotzer, will come forward as well. kind of give information about what has happened and the whole process we have from an expert's point of view. As I recall, when we had this conversation over a year ago, preliminary reports indicated we're looking around $17 to $18 million that we'll be spending on that. At one point in time, we bought or rented some equipment, and we hired other folks to come out there together with our folks out there to start the process. So if you'll just explain a little bit more about that and the importance of closing this out.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor has been very explicit for me to be brief and to not go into much detail engineering, so I'm going to try to do that. And he is right. As you recall, about a year ago, we started prepping the landfill. We hired Roper and Associates or environmental to get the slopes to 3 to 1. And long story short, they were 2 to 1. They were too steep. We had to move the trash, had to make it 3 to 1, and that way the contractors that move dirt aren't interested in moving trash. All they want to do is move dirt. So we did almost all of it. I think there's a couple of 4 or 5 acres that they'll have to move trash, but they understand that. And so we bid this approximately 2 weeks ago, I guess, and the bids came in at $9.3 million. Piedmont Mining was number 1, Peed Brother was 2, and Sellers was number 3. Okay, so, and the process we're going to move forward right now, as soon as you approve this and you award this contract, they're ready to go. We're going to send them the contracts. They will sign them. They will send to y'all so your attorney can approve them. When we do that, we're going to have a pre-construction conference, and then we're going to officially close the landfill. Okay, when I say close the landfill, that means no more trash, nothing. Not a Coca-Cola can or a gum wrapper. It's done, okay? Now that, as far as EPD is concerned, that landfill is closed, but they don't accept it until we officially put the cap on it, which is 18 inches of 10 to the minus dirt. I'm going to be fast, Mayor. I'm going to be fast. 6 inches of friable topsoil, and so we'll have grass, and we'll be ready to roll. As soon as that happens, we'll redo the methane. Cherokee, I don't think wants the methane anymore. We'll have to put a flare out there. That's fine. That'll meet EPD specs. And then, okay, February 20th. All right, February 20th. At that point in time, EPD will approve it. Then you have to maintain it for 30 years. Okay, that means you got to cut the grass. You'll have leachate outbreaks, some, and you have to keep the pumps out there to pump down the lakes, and so you can get to the monitoring wells. At that point in time, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, you will have an officially closed landfill.
Mr. Mayor, what I was just asking him to say was, we met with EPD on February 20th, and we had to explain all this in great detail. They did not give us a re-inspection. I think our last grade was a 95. Right. And so we were trying to keep that grade up, but had they graded us at back then, we probably would have failed, because we have things that need to be done now that will be addressed in the closure.
Thank you. Commissioner Tillman, you had a question, sir?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to make a comment. Maybe he was telling you to be brief, because over my last 10 years, and I'm not saying anything derogatory to my colleague to the right of me, but every commissioner supported closing the landfill, probably except one. And so, so I think we've been consistent with knowing that you have to close the landfill in that project. Although it's been a priority, how long we've been trying to close it, Dr. Moffitt?
30 years.
30 years. And so, so you talk about priorities. So when you talk about a priority, that's why I said to the mayor, we got to be careful when we talk about language about priority, because it was a priority to close the landfill, and if you're going on 30 years, a priority to pave Jeffersonville Road and finish it, it's been over 20 years. And so, you know, when we asking folks to approve SPLOS and OLOS and ELOS and all this stuff, we just have to be mindful and continue to do what we say we're going to do. I enjoyed the conversation, learned a lot from Commissioner Mallory Jones, and we did a lot. Commissioner Watkins has been consistent about his questioning on the landfill. But overall, everybody supported that closure and supported it. So we asking the public, the administration, and other colleagues, that let's do the same thing with our projects that this community voted for.
Thank you, Commissioner Tillman. I'm just happy to be a part of cleaning up all the stuff that y'all were going to do back in the day. So I had to add that in there. Commissioner Howell, how about you, sir?
remind, I guess me again, you said it's 18 inches of dirt and 6 inches of topsoil
That's 2 feet, yeah,
on the,
on the whole thing.
on the 18 inches to cover the landfill. How many cubic yards is that?
That's the total amount is going to be about 400,000 cubic yards. It's about a third. Now, he asked me this, Mayor, okay?
I ain't said a word.
A third of it is going to be the bridge layer because it's all uneven. So you got to bridge it out to make it even 3 to 1. All right, then you got to put, after you do that, that's going to be about 150,000 cubic yards. Then you're going to put the 18 inches of tendon minus clay on it. That's going to be around 200, and then you're going to put 6 inches of topsoil on top. So altogether, it's around 400,000 cubic yards.
And if you
It's a
put
lot.
20 yards on a dump truck, that'd be a whole lot of dump trucks.
That's a lot of shaking going on.
I just wanted to point that out, that's, you know, they're not going to put that much dirt in there in a week. It's
No,
going to take a minute.
It's going to take a year, and we have verbal permission from EPD to do that.
Okay, Commissioner Howell. Commissioner Watkins?
Yeah, so I know originally from the splash we'd allocated 18 million.
17 and change.
Yeah. And I know this is for 9 million today, but I guess pre and post, I guess this contract, what are we estimating this to cost total?
The post is going to be for 30 years, and that's all that is for cutting the grass, and so that'll come out of maintenance.
Fair.
So,
But
roughly, if my memory serves me right, we have about 11.5 left in that account because we've been operating the landfill for closure up until this point, and so now that will the 9.3. But we do anticipate that they're going to find some other issues in there, so hopefully it won't be too much more over that. But we think we're well within budget to close this landfill with what we have remaining.
I heard you right. We started with 17. We have remaining 11.
Yes.
And the 9 today is coming from that 11.
Correct.
Leaving us with about 2 million
but
change, and that possibly could be
right.
overages or unforeseen stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. At this time, we need a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Wynn. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. No discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries. It will be sent to consent agenda. Item C is a resolution to approve the 38th Amendment. Thank you, sir. Quit building this right now. 38th Amendment to the 2018 SPLOST project timeline and budget as presented by the SPLOST project manager. Everyone's had an opportunity to review that. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item D is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to approve a professional services agreement with Safe Built Georgia LLC to provide for additional fire plan review and inspection services and adopting an update fee schedule to be paid from the Business Development Service budget contract labor. I think okay. I saw the chief here earlier. I'm not sure if he's still here. But,
yes, chief is still here.
There he is.
As we continue to perfect our inspection process, one item that we feel like we can do better is our timeliness in our fire review and fire inspections. One thing, when we first started this contract, the agreement was that Safe Built would lead this effort and our fire department would come up to speed in taking this over. That has not been the case in the 3 years, and so Chief Edwards is suggesting that Safe Built just provide this service for us, have someone here full time to do the fire plan review, because sometimes people come in, it's very quick, they can do it over 15 minutes or something, or a day, in lieu of the current process where we send it off to Safe Built and they return it to us within 10 days. So this would give us a chance. Plus on the fire inspection piece, the fire personnel can go back to doing their annual inspection. They have to go into the businesses twice a year. This frees them up from doing that by having this dedicated fire person here. It'll be covered in the contract. If you recall, we have a 60-40 split with Safe Built. So the services for this will come out of the proceeds that we already collect from Safe Built. So.
Thank you, Dr. Moffat. We also have the chief here as well as Safe Built represented here tonight in case there's any questions. Commissioner Watkins?
I got a little distracted, but the 60. Tell me about the money again. How much do we pay Safe Built now?
If you recall, Safe Built collects all the money for us, submit it to Macon-Bibb, and then we pay them the 60% for their services. So out of our 40%, remember this is a net profit enterprise.
Assume I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you recall, the contract says that we have a 60-40 split with Safe Built. Safe Built does the work. People pay us. Macon-Bibb collects the money. Depending on the amount of work, we pay Safe Built 60% of the work that was done. So the 40% that we collect, we use to continue to fund our internal services such as rent, the code enforcement piece, because remember, you can't profit off the inspections piece of this. So the proposal is to add more work to Safe Built, and so they'll just bill us that out of our 40%. And so we won't even see, we won't recognize it as a loss.
So at the beginning of the day, before the meeting started, we had a 60-40 split.
Correct.
If we pass what you're saying today, that changes to a what?
No, it's still a 60-40 split. They would just bill us in part of that. So remember, revenue minus expenses. So the expense will be included. This full-time person will be included in the expenses.
I don't know about that. So they'll have, right now they don't do firework, and
No,
they'll do firework.
Right now they do it, but we don't compensate them for it.
They do it for free now.
Basically, yes.
Oh, that was nice of them.
Well, yes, it was, but we did agree at some point to take it over full time, and we just have not had the manpower. And
You don't want to string them along a little while longer?
Chief, answer that.
So let me say this. One of the challenges I had when y'all appointed me as fire chief is to come in and work with our contractors here in Macon-Bibb County to assist them with getting their businesses constructed, getting the fire plans reviews done in a timely manner. And that is something we've worked very closely with Safe Built over the last 3 years, 2 years under my term, to streamline that and make that more efficient and effective for our community and our contractors. So Dr. Moffat came to me a couple of months ago. We still have complaints from our contractors about getting fire plans reviewed in time, getting inspections and done taken care of in time. One of the ways that we can fix this is by putting a full-time fire plans review person in place here in Macon-Bibb County that's here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30, in an office where when we have a plan come up, we can go straight to that person, address that issue right then, and hopefully resolve it. So this is going to speed the process up, and trust me, it's been an ongoing problem. As you talk to our contractors, they're always saying there's been inconsistencies between different agencies and things like this. This is going to clean that up. And that's what we want to do, is make it more efficient and effective for our community and for our contractors here in Bibb County. So I've been working with Safe Built. Daniel Brown and I have been communicating daily since we started talking about this project, wanting to figure out a way to make it work. He's in support of it. His team's in support of it. They're willing to go out and go ahead and put the application process out to go ahead and get somebody to apply for it, get that person in a position where we can go ahead and fix this, what I say is a small problem, but move forward in the community.
At a separate time, I guess it could be just in an email or something. Just, I guess, quantify, because I don't know the volume of work that the 60 and 40% comprise. Just quantify that with actual dollars. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Commissioner Jones?
Chief, so this person's going to be an employee of Safe Built?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And my little exposure to Safe Built is improved since Daniel Brown's been there, so I'll give him that compliment. We've talked on the phone a couple of times, first time I've seen him. But so this will be an employee of yours, and would be, and who's going to train him to do the fire plan review? The chief is? The fire department?
He will already have those expertise. We're hiring somebody with those. They will be hiring somebody with those expertise.
Okay, hire somebody with that expertise. So he'll be a full-time employee of Safe Built.
Correct.
Okay. And it hasn't been as efficient in your view or the public's view as to if the fire department's done it. Is that correct?
Correct. I only hesitated because the job is getting done, but it can be better. And
Okay.
some of the complaints we heard from contractors, we believe that this will address that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it runs as efficiently as what I've seen, my little bit, since Daniel Brown's been there, then I'll take your word for that, because prior to previously it wasn't that efficient, and I wasn't in favor of Safe Built, but they've done a much better job most recently.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Watkins, you had a follow-up, sir?
Yeah, just help me out. The service fee schedule in the contract. I see the 60% reference, but walk me through the rest of that. I guess some of it's not relevant to this.
No, 'cause none of that changes.
I see the 12,500 per month. That's a lot times a
No,
year.
that's the fire plans. That's the only, I apologize. That's the only change. That's the person, their equipment, their vehicle, and everything will take them to do that job.
$1,000 a year, right? 12,000 per month.
100,
Sorry,
100,
100.
yeah.
100. Okay, so that's a full-time job.
That's a full-time job.
Okay. And then that comes out of our but then we get that back from our 60.
Right. It depends on the work volume, how much extra work they do, and it's paid out of that split.
Okay.
But I'll send you that breakdown.
Okay. Yeah. I added 0. My bad.
Okay.
Commissioner Watkins, Commissioner Bronson.
Out of curiosity, when it boils down to the inspections themselves, thank you again, once again, Chief. Good seeing you. When it boils down to the inspection process, how long is that inspection good for? And the reason I ask that is that if you have an inspection done and it runs past the 30-day limit because another department is holding up the process, then the person has to go back in and redo the application with you guys. So, one, what's the length of that process? And then two, the other departments that are intertwined in that, will everyone be held to the same standard, should I say?
Yes, that is what started this whole conversation, to make sure that process is streamlined and that everyone is communicating and that it is part of it, and that fire is on the front end of that.
Okay.
That way fire doesn't get blindsided on the back end when the plans are approved and fire comes in and has to add a sprinkler. That should have been something said on the front end.
Okay.
But to answer your question about how long the inspection is good for, it's good for.
It's in depth. If we're talking about an inspection of a sprinkler system, the next time you'll look at that is when you do your annual or biannual. That'd be correct, Chief?
Right.
Okay.
But the whole point is to get all the approvals done at the same time.
Yes,
So
sir.
we've been meeting as a kind of like a permitting task force, because we want to make sure that we are the #1 city in the #1 state of Georgia to do business. That is our primary goal.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I entertain a motion for approval of item D. Got a motion by Commissioner Bronson, second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and be sent to consent agenda. We're going to move on to item E, but before I do that, I want to go ahead and get the blessing of the commission. Item 6A, we'll take just a moment to take care of that tonight. Ms. Jackson, we're going to push that to another, either next Tuesday or the Tuesday after for Wazina. So we won't have time to get to that tonight, so I'm going to remove that from the agenda for tonight, if that's okay with you. And we're going to go ahead and go to item E, and then we'll move on to the rest of our agenda tonight before we start our main commission meeting. And we'll also move the executive session, unless there's strong opinion otherwise, to the 6 o'clock meeting tonight, unless you want to just delay that meeting and go ahead and go into that at the completion of this. But I'm going to go ahead and move item E, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Item E is a resolution on the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Tyler Technologies for New World Public Safety software licenses in an amount of $285,685.75, payable to the IT department budget, enterprise applications, repairs and maintenance, software license, and maintenance line item. At this time, I entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Howell. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Lucas. Any further discussion? Sure. Who wants to talk about that? Dr. Walker? I'm sorry, Dr. Moffitt.
Yes, this is for software licenses. IT department is a budgeted item. It has been approved in the budget. This is just the agreement contract to continue with the licenses.
Okay. Any other questions? We have a motion and second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 7 is what we had the hearing on with Ms. Keller early on before this meeting, reestablishing the downtown Macon Business Improvement District. Item A is an ordinance in the Macon-Bibb County Commission establishing the downtown Macon Business Improvement District to include the properties outlined in the district plan map in downtown Macon. Can I get a motion for approval? Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further questions? Commissioner Lucas?
Yeah, the one thing, I know that they have a committee that's set up, made up of residents, business owners. I'd be interested to get a copy of their minutes when they meet and make decisions that have to do with downtown, because I know that they can vote on different kinds of things that you might not have in the remaining part of Macon-Bibb. So just a copy of the minutes, I think, would be helpful, just to let us know what things they're thinking about, they're considering, and what items they voted on that are changes that can be made without our ever knowing about it.
Sure, that's not a problem. If there's any heavy infrastructure, it's every time I come to you all for approval. But the mayor sits on our board, as well as it's 7 elected officials, but that's not a problem. We meet every other month, and all the meetings are denoted on newtownmacon.com /bid.
Do you have minutes?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're quasi. I mean, we have minutes for Newtown Macon, so yeah, we are a quasi public entity because it's public funding. So there's a budget and everything. Yes.
I know. So I'd just like to have a copy of the minutes. I think it's
How far back would you like me
important
to go?
for a lot of governmental entities that we we do support the efforts, and so I think it would be good for us to.
How far would you like me to go back?
Just start now with the minutes going forward. That's what I.
No, we have minutes. We have minutes every single meeting, but you just want going forward.
I don't think we want all the minutes. I'm just saying the minutes are important. I'd like to start getting them.
Okay,
That's it. And anybody else, I don't know. But I just think any governmental entity that has to come to us for funding, for approval, whatever it is, we need to kind of know. It's like that situation where the folks who do timber cuts now don't have to go before planning and zoning. They just do it, and all of a sudden we've got this timber cut, and all of the neighbors are calling, and we don't know. So we're talking about just information. We need to know everything that we can in order to be able to respond. So thank you for all that y'all are doing to support the downtown business district, and it does look good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wynn?
Brief question. I saw you said you had a 7 board member board.
2 ex officio. One is always the mayor of Macon-Bibb County, and the other, or his or her appointee. The other one is always the Newtown board chair, he or her, or their appointee, and then 5 elected property owners.
Just for my clarification, I think I saw Wes Griffith's name on there twice.
It should be Tom White, Wes Griffith, Quinn Ross, Brian Nichols, and Gene Bragg.
Because when you've had that first list, there it is right there. See,
it's -1, yeah, but it's Gene Bragg.
Wes Griffith's name's on there twice.
Well, he's only one person, so obviously that's my bad. Thank you for pointing out that's a typo, but it's Gene Bragg.
Okay. So that's still 7 people with Wes being on there once.
And Gene Bragg, Quinn Ross.
Well, she was on that list.
Quinn Ross, Brian Nichols.
Remember what was on there.
Brian Nichols, the Christmas tree guy.
Just as long as you have the number that you say.
It's 7.
Okay. Thank you.
And those members are selected by the folks that own properties that voted on them to represent them in that bid. That's correct.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thanks.
Okay, at this time I do believe we have a motion and second. Yes, we do. All right. If there's no further questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries, will be sent to consent agenda. We're going to add the Women's History Month to new business tonight, if that's okay with the ladies on this board. We won't ask the gentlemen, but the ladies, if that's okay with y'all, we'll add that to the meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. And once again, the executive session, we can go in there now, or we can wait to our main commission meeting. What's the pleasure of the board? Wait? Yeah, we'll wait to go to the executive session on that. So therefore, that's going to conclude our meeting. At this time, I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and I'll ask the commissioners, excuse me, I'm sorry. Right.
And some of the things that he mentioned were things that we kind of discussed. There were 3 items, and he told me that I represented him, and I better come to this meeting and tell y'all what he had to say. So I'm gonna do it. He says Millerfield Road by the store, that we need to place cones up there because folks are running over the center divider that's in the middle of the street. He says that he's concerned about people's property being set out and left to fly all over the neighborhood. He says that he is concerned about the limits on the number of convenience stores providing alcohol. Now, where have we heard that? We heard just about every day. So I have done what he directed me to do, and I'm sure that these things, I can forward these on to the county manager for handling as he sees fit. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. This meeting has been adjourned, and the commissioners need 2 or 3 minutes before we begin our meeting. I'd like to go ahead and begin. Comfort break? We'll take a 3-minute comfort break and see you back and start our meeting in 3 minutes. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Macon-Bibb County Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, March the 7th. We do apologize for the late start, but the time is approximately 6:17. And I'd like to officially welcome everyone here and call this meeting to order. We're going to begin like we always do here tonight. We do have a large crowd, but we're going to begin our meeting with calling to order, and then we're going to have our prayer led by the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's prayer will be led by our Commissioner, Mr. Raymond Wilder, and they'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So those of you that can and will, please bow your head and listen to the prayer.
Thank you for this day that you've given us today. And we ask you, Lord, to, as we move into this meeting, to give us guidance to do everything that we do for your glory. We just thank you for this opportunity to be here to do business for our county. We thank you, Lord, for the great crowd we have here tonight. It does show great community support. We just thank you for everything so far that's went on in this meeting and ask you for guidance as we continue through this meeting. And we thank you for all of these things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We had our pre-commission just a while ago, and some of those items will be on the consent agenda tonight. But we also have some presentations tonight and some new items on the agenda, as well as I think that we have a few people that are on non-agenda items that would like to speak, and we'll talk about that toward the end of our meeting. This time, I'm not aware of any announcements to make, but we do have some presentations, and I understand we have a great group of people here tonight. I see a lot of my friends from the Central Chargers here tonight, and they're all smiling and very happy. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mayor Pro Tem and whoever that may would give us a little bit of information about all the excitement tonight and what's going on.
So if you are with Central, will y'all please come stand up here for me? You get to stand up here vicariously. Thank y'all for being here. Guys, they're here tonight because we would like to honor the girls and basketball team of Central High School. These guys had a heck of a season that I'm going to talk you through and talk through who the coaches are and the awards that they've won, but they've really, really just had a fantastic season that is definitely worthy of high praise from their government. We'll start with the boys. You guys, you made it to the Sweet 16, and that's incredible. The boys team is headed up by head coach Andre Taylor and assistant coach Derek Evans. So thank y'all. And I'm going to spend, because we are also going to announce that it's Women's History Month, so I'm going to spend a little more time on the girls team for Women's History Month, but also because y'all's season was literally the best record in the school's history. So they had a regular season of 26-1, and their final season was 28-2, and they went 14-0 in the region. The team is the second and is number 2 in the entire state. They also are, the awards that they've received this year, they got the 2A Coach of the Year with Miss Tamara Williams. She was supported by Jarfaith Jones and Coach Dominique Sneed. And they had 2 co-players of the year. We had 2 players of the year for Region 2A this year. Aliyah Grain and Talia Greer. Guys, all of y'all have made Macon as proud as we possibly can be. And thank you for showing what you can do to the rest of this state and being good ambassadors for this community on and off the court. It really means the world to us. Y'all are future leaders, and if you plead like you play, the future of Macon-Bibb County is in good hands. So thank you very much. And Mr. Mayor, I'd love for you to come down here and take a picture with them and any of the other commissioners as well. Yeah, and any other, Central Charges and any other commissioner. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, don't get up there talking about Southwest tonight. Yeah.
See if I can see.
Yeah, let's leave it like that.
You early. All right, as Mayor Pro Tem Clark said, this month begins Women's History Month, and we are very fortunate to have two women who are very good members of the commission tonight. And they're going to make a presentation tonight concerning Women's History Month, and we'll also be voting on that tonight as well. So, ladies, we'll turn it over to you.
Evening.
Good evening.
We'd like to ask all the ladies in the house if you'll come up.
And in the middle.
Yeah. We all know that if the lady in the house is happy, then it's usually everything else is usually happy too. It is our pleasure as the two female county commissioners to read and pay tribute to the ladies during Women's History Month. And my colleague, Commissioner Wynn, and I will share the duties tonight. This is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to recognize the month of March 2023 as Women's History Month and for other lawful purposes. And we'd like to thank the ladies who are in our legal department for preparing this document too. We thank you. It reads, whereas, I'm finished. Whereas Women's History Month recognizes and spreads awareness of the importance of women in the history of the United States, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County.
We're going to do every paragraph like this. All right. I think this is going to be taking a while to do every other paragraph, but I'll just go ahead. Whereas throughout the history of the United States, whether in the home, their workplace, school, the courts, or in wartime, women have fought for themselves, their families, and all people of the United States, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County. I'm going to go ahead. And whereas American women have always been particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in the United States, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County. And whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of the United States, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas American women have played and continue to play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of the nation in the state of Georgia and Macon-Bibb County by continuing a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside the home. And whereas American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation, state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force. And I'll let you go ahead there, Commissioner Lucas.
Whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions of our nation, state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County. And whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the early forefront of every major progressive change movement, not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and in other movements, especially the peace movement, which created a more just and fair society for all. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Macon-Bibb County Commission, and it is hereby so resolved by the authority of the same, that the Macon-Bibb County Commission recognizes the month of March 2023 as Women's History Month, and we urge that all citizens of Macon-Bibb County be mindful of and celebrate the contributions of American women throughout the year. We're going to ask Mayor Miller if you would come and join the ladies. And as he joins us, be it further resolved that this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its approval by the mayor and this commission. In witness whereof, the mayor has hereunto set his hand and caused the seal of the consolidated government to be affixed. If you will honor these ladies with a round of applause.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Lucas and Commissioner Wynn. We're going to move on with our meeting. The next item on the agenda is item 6A, the approval of the minutes from the February the 21st, 2023 regular meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries. There's no items on the public comments on agenda items tonight. We'll come back to the non-agenda items here shortly. We have new business items. The first one is going to be what we just heard. We'll actually take an official vote on that. And this is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve an amendment to the program year 2021 action plan. Is this correct? No. I'm sorry, my bad. Motion to approve, I'm sorry, the declaration of the Women's History Month. Can I get a motion to approve that? Motion by Commissioner Lucas, second by Commissioner Wynn. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda, which we just passed. Also want to add a new business item. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to add as new business the item that we forwarded from last meeting. That is the item I was just speaking about with Ms. Wanzina Jackson. So the resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve the amendment to the program 2021 Action Plan for Community Development. We get a motion to approve that by Commissioner Bronson. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Wynn. All those in favor of adding that item, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, and now we'll actually make a motion to on this particular item, and then we'll take questions at that time. Yes, sir.
Before we do that, I had an item I was going to add, but I just want to make sure. I don't want to add it, but I want to get other commissioners' input on that item. If I actually turn it to forward it, I know Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioner Watkins are interested, and it's pertaining to some things over at the Amundsen Riverwalk that'll be on the agenda. But I want commissioners to have a chance to chime in and look at it, and trying to see what we can do to reduce the drownings over there by requiring life vests. But we're going to look at that next week. So I appreciate commissioners, y'all pay attention to that and share your input.
Thank you, Commissioner Tillman. At this time, I entertain a motion for approval of the items
So
that we
moved.
just discussed. Got a motion by Commissioner Tillman. Can we get a second? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Jackson, for being with us tonight. Thank you for everything that you continue to do. That concludes our new business tonight. We're going to pick back up with our regular information from the previous meeting. We have old business, the Macon Main Street DBA Lucky Food Mart located at 807 Main Street. And I'll ask Attorney Frank Howard to come forward on that and give us an update.
Again, to remind you all voted to recommend denial of this license on February 7th, 2023. This is the alcohol license for Macon Main Street, doing business as Lucky Food Mart at 807 Main Street, separate from the one we discussed during the committee of the whole meeting about an hour ago. And this alcohol license, you recommended denial because according to the documents in the application, the license was transferred in September 2021, and there was no new business or alcohol license applied for within 3 or 10 days of that transfer in September 2021. That's ground for denial of the license. You all voted to deny that license, recommend denial at that time, and I recommend that you vote to deny the license today.
Thank you, Attorney Howard. Commissioners, you heard that. Mayor Pro Tem Cart, you have a question? Okay, got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cart for the denial to approve. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Bronson. Any questions from commissioners? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Howard. At this time, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda, item 10A through N. That includes item M that we just voted on for Women's History Month. This time, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as published and as earlier discussed. A motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Thank you very much. We do have public comments on non-agenda items at this time, and we do have a need to go into executive session right after that. We have 5 people who have signed up to speak on the non-agenda items, and I believe all 5 of these are regarding transportation and perhaps making transit fare increase. So this time I'm going to call each of those up to the podium. We'll have a second just to move that around, and ask you to identify yourself, your name that is, and direct all your comments to the chair. Although we're not Macon Transit Authority, we're here to listen to what you have to say tonight, and try to keep your comments within 5 minutes if you can, and we'll be keeping time here. So this time I'd like to call Ms. Jackie Glover. Ms. Glover here? Ms. Glover, thank you for being here tonight. If you don't mind coming up to the microphone and speak into that microphone, because there's some folks at home that will be listening to you as well. And you have 5 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Jacqueline Glover. I ride paratransit. I'm looking at they are saying that they are raising the fares, and they are saying they are raising the fares on the whole transportation system. But this is one thing that I want to put out here that I need everybody to understand. what effectively is going to happen is that, okay, with the fixed route, they were getting a transfer and they was having to pay 50 cents for the transfer. But what is actually happening now, they're going to pay $175, which includes the $125 they were regularly paying and the 50 cents. And what that does is that's going to give them a transfer with that. So they're going to pay $175 and they're going to get a transfer. Now, they also says that, you know, they can pay another quarter and get an additional transfer. There's no need for an additional transfer because we only have one transfer station in Macon and everything. So that's not even needed. So let me explain to you what is really happening. What is really happening is that they're going up on paratransit because they believe, they put out that if they go up on fixed route, they've got to go up on paratransit, and that is not so. According to the law, you cannot charge us more than double, but you can set it at whatever you want to just so it don't go over that double. But this is the other issue. When they saying they are raising the fixed route is going to pay $175. They're going to get a transfer. But what effectively is happening, we are already paying $2.50 each way. So what they are doing is they're going to raise $1 on us. So instead of us paying $2.50 each way, we're going to now be paying $3.50 each way. And I also wonder, I haven't heard anything about the 20 ride pass or the unlimited ride pass, and nothing has been said about what's going to happen with that. Question is, are we going to still have that? And if we have it, what is it going to be? That is the real question. But the real thing is that paratransit is being raised. Now, you look at the people that ride paratransit. We are either senior citizens, disabled. Those are where we are. So what they're doing is they're raising it on us. And a lot of people don't understand that when you look at what they're doing, the fixed route is not really being charged. They're not really being raised. And they did that because they knew if they didn't show that they were charging $175, that they could not go up on paratransit. So they set it at $175 so they could go up on paratransit. We are, I mean, you know, we don't have money like that. We are on fixed incomes. A lot of these people are elderly. You got some that really can't afford it because I'm going to take myself, for instance. I've worked, and I really have worked in everything, but part of it is when my disability hit me, I was an adult woman, and I had to stop working in my field because I could not see to read. So now...
1 minute, just like give you time, okay?
Okay. So this is what's happening to a lot of us. We are being set up, and I know that a lot of y'all don't get it because y'all can jump in y'all car and y'all gone just like that. I can't drive. I know you don't want to see me coming down the road behind the wheel of a car. That's all I got to say. That I need somebody to look into this because that does not have to be.
Thank you, Ms. Glover. Thomas Hudson. Mr. Hudson, thank you for being here tonight. Good to see you. Thank you for being here tonight. Good to see you again.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to come before you. This is something that's very dear to my heart. I actually served on the Macon-Bibb County Transit Authority. I was appointed by former Mayor Jim Marshall. I actually served up until part of the record administration. I was actually chair when I was not reappointed, but that's another story. The reason why I'm down here is because I've always advocated and tried to look out for people. In many cases, who were not able to look out for themselves. And I'm adamantly opposed to any increase in reference to the fares for the people we serve. The motto is we move, Macon-Bibb County Transit Authority moves Macon. It should be modified. If we should make sure that Macon-Bibb County Transit Authority is the catalyst that actually moves it for everyone, because basically what happened is a lot of people who ride the bus are dependent on that. A lot of time I frequent various restaurants, places throughout Macon, And a lot of those businesses in North Macon, I live in West Macon, it's so unfortunate a lot of time to get the better service. I have to drive on the north side of town. A lot of the jobs are there. I live near the mall. At one time, it was a thriving community, and that was the hub. Everybody was coming to the mall. Now we need to find ways to get people to the jobs and stuff. A lot of people depended on it. I go out to the wellness center, and I've seen the young lady who just spoke. I see her out there just about every other day when I go there. And a lot of people depended on public transportation. We are fortunate. We have cars. We can drive pretty much where we choose to. And a lot of people use the public transportation to go to the jobs, buy grocery. Also, you have students who ride the bus too. And therefore, we need to look out for our most precious resources, especially ones who are not fortunate enough to have means of transportation. And I think what we need to do is look at ways that we can augment the cost of running public transportation, because no public transportation system in the United States, public, is in there to make business. It's there to provide service to people who are less fortunate and stuff. And I think the transportation should change now, that we should be an equalizer for equal opportunities for the ones who are less fortunate to have vehicles so they can get around. Because we pay now, a little now, we pay more later. Because when we look at the poverty rate in Macon, which is double that of the national average, if people can't get jobs, they depend on the ones who are working. And a lot of it is coming upon taxpayers. About 52% of the people in Macon own the houses, and we're the one that's paying for indigent care. We pay when people can't afford to have someone to represent them when they go to court. We pay for them to be housed and stuff. And many times we're taxed to death. And if everyone has an opportunity to ride the bus and not having to pay, in fact, it'd be nice if they didn't have to pay at all, because a lot of the funds come from the federal government. And if Macon is moving the people around and people are spending money when they're productive members of society, hopefully we can find partners that will partner with the Macon Transit Authority, with the county commissioners, that will find creative ways to fund Macon Transit Authority without putting a burden on people who are less fortunate, that's trying to experience the American dream. And so that's my request here. I respectfully request to do everything to continue to support public transportation, but not on the back of the ones who are less fortunate and cannot afford to pay for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. Good to see you. Mr. Willie Dumas.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and commissioners. The NAACP stands behind most of these voices we've heard today. We know that Martin Luther King stood very firmly about the bus system. That was an integral part of civil rights, and we want to stand on that same mantra, that people be, judged fairly. When you look at the income of the average person that probably rides the bus, if we were to look at that, I'm sure it wouldn't be that high. And so a lot of times, those of us who have good jobs, who middle-class citizens, we know that every month we have to adjust our budgets. Things are going up, gasoline, prices are going up, food's going up, but wages are staying about the same. And so a person who doesn't have a very large income, every dollar counts. And so we stand, behind not increasing anything. We're still in a pandemic, number one, and we don't know what else is going to come that's going to cause people to maybe be out of work, and it'll be even harder for people to get around. And I think the trend, too, across the country into the larger cities is going mostly towards free transit. And so we don't want to be going the opposite direction. I think there are other means of monies federally and locally that can assist in that. And so we stand behind the Transit Authority not increasing any fares. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dumas. Thank you for being here tonight. Mr. Wade Horton.
Mayor, don't start the time yet. I ain't got there.
I got you.
Hello, Mayor and Council.
Yes, sir.
Commission, I'm sorry, I'm used to it. Jill Scott was just here, and I think she closed her show out by saying, living my life like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. We want to live our lives like it's golden. And that means different things to different people. For example, I was on a paratransit bus when we went to pick up a lady from dialysis. She had had a stroke. She had a cane. So she got there and got a dialysis treatment. So when the bus pulled up to pick her up, she said, I don't have any money. The bus fare was $2.50. Now, some people it's only $2.50, but to others it's $2.50. She didn't have. She was more concerned about getting her dialysis treatment, and then I would figure out the rest, figure out how to get home later. There was an article in the paper that said the cheapest ride in Macon is about to get a little bit more expensive. And it said in that article, and along with videos that you can Google on YouTube, you can Google this article, cheapest ride in Macon is about to get more expensive. Channel 41, 24, 13, they all reported that buses fares were voted on by the Transit Authority and approved. When we get to the meeting on Tuesday, they announced that it has not been approved and that it was a proposal. And I am willing to bet everybody around this horseshoe knew or felt like the bus fares had already been increased. We've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, because we know that it was. Now, why the sudden change? Is it because you got wind that we were coming down? Now, I invited Miss Elaine Lucas on her, well, actually I invited Elaine Lucas and the entire commission on her radio show. And she showed up at the Transit Authority, and I really appreciate that because she realizes that probably 75 to 80% of the bus route or her territory is serviced by bus routes. And I know many of yours are serviced by the buses being in use. At that meeting, I quoted some stuff in that meeting from the cheapest ride in town. It's about to get more expensive. And I was told that I told a lie. I said that the chairman of the board, Mr. Lewis Tompkins, quote, low income, most of our riders are low income and they do not have a car, close quote. I also said, as a rider and as a reader, that sounds like to me that you're saying they low income, they don't have a car, we're gonna raise rates and they're gonna pay it because, as the article say, the cheapest ride in town is about to get a little bit more expensive. I keep saying that because I want you to Google the cheapest ride in town is about to get more expensive and verify. Was I telling the truth? Did I quote? Or did I quote incorrectly? And if you say that I did, I'll stand here and I'll correct myself. Back to the the Transit Authority. They are raising the rates from $125 to $175. It looks like it on its face value.
1 minute.
But when you look at it in its totality, they're already paying $1.75 because it's $1.25 for a bus fare, 50 cents for a transfer. Now, my addition say that that's $1.75. And as was stated earlier, they also said if you need an additional transfer, it's only 25 cents. The only problem with that is when you get to the terminal station, there is no more transfers. I don't know where any other place that our buses in Macon, Georgia overlap other than at the Transit Authority or at the terminal station. Now, if there's another place, I need to know about it. So we are asking that you guys
support us on this. Mayor, can I have just a little bit? No.
I haven't stopped you yet.
We're asking that you guys help us, support us on this, because your constituents are the ones that are going to be affected by it. We need to see you guys at the meetings and pleading the case, because I know some of you guys, I know Mr. Tillman, Mr. Watkins, Mr. Jones, Ms. Wynn, Mr. Bronson, Mr. Howard, you guys have people who ride the bus. It goes through your district. Please oppose this. I know that this body doesn't have oversight over them directly, but your voices are huge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Is Tisha Bloodworth? Good evening, Ms. Bloodworth. Thank you for being here tonight.
My name is Keisha Bloodworth. I am. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, saying hello to everyone. I wanted to speak in reference to, I forgot to put it on the paper. It's not about the transit, but I do lend my support to that because I was on the system for a while, and I'm thankful for that. Anyway, I come to speak about downtown Macon. I'm a business owner. I own First Class Style, your downtown salon, about 12 years now, to God be the glory. But I just wanted to commend downtown Macon for as many improvements. I think it's Keep Macon Beautiful and Newtown Macon. They're doing an excellent job trying to keep the streets clean and the new businesses that are coming available, just bringing traffic to the downtown area. And I just wanted to be a citizen to acknowledge that you're doing an awesome job, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I want everybody to pray for the city because it's like a lot of violence going on. But if we come together, maybe we could do something about that. But prayers to that. And that's all. You guys have a beautiful night.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Commissioner Lucas?
Okay, thank you. Is this a point of personal privilege?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Mayor?
Well, you can do it now. We're also going to executive session, so.
Okay, all right. I want to have all those folks who are here in opposition to the proposed fare increase, if you'll raise your hand, please. And you can keep your hand up because you're also registered voters. And also know some folks who this would be a detrimental thing. Thank you. Colleagues, last meeting I stated several important bits of information, one of which is the poverty rate that we have in our community. Another one was that homelessness is just, it's tragic. There are a number of people, 20% have no car, 20% of our population. And whether your district is more affluent than anybody else's, you still have people that's in that 20%. And so I just wanted to say to you that we have an online petition, and we have over 200 people who have signed online. These are completed petitions, paper petitions. We have these others. These are the ones that have been signed. And the signers are folks from Centenary Baptist Church. They're folks from Reverend Robinson's Church, New Pleasant Grove. There are folks from the Bumpus's Church, New Fellowship. There are folks who've signed on this from different sororities, fraternities, and forgive me if I left out names, but NAACP has been working. We just have a lot of people who feel this, who are feeling this, and this is an opportunity for them to say, y'all take a look at what's going on and come down on the side of the folks who don't feel like they have the power to bring about change. And so what we are asking, I am going to put together a packet of information. along with the folks, the copies of the petitions and other documents. One that's very important that shows all of these cities that are going to fare-free systems. And especially with all of the federal monies, and we got 77 million, y'all, in Macon-Bibb County. Been well spent, but we got half of it, the half that we've gotten, but we've still got some more money coming in. These communities are using that money to lift a little of the burden off of their depressed populations, and we should do that as well. Now, I know with all of these fine minds that we can come up with a solution that will take this burden. And believe me, you know, when you go to the doctor and you're worried, you take some tests and you're worried about the diagnosis, you know, you're just so worried. The folks who are using transit and paratransit are in about that same situation, sitting, wondering if this is going into effect, how it's going to impact them. And y'all, please remember, we're not talking about one fare. We are talking about every time someone uses the transit system, that increase is added to it. And as someone already said, 125, 175, 250 to 350 might not seem like a lot to us. We have a change in our, well, my car's junky, so I have change in my cigarette because I don't smoke. But we have change. But there are, for a lot of people, they collect that change to pay for their transportation. And I just shudder to think my mother, who died 4 years ago at age 90, was at the nursing home. She had to go to the doctor and she used paratransit. We three daughters, the three hens, were there to see about her and make sure that that $350, it was $350 for us. I don't know how y'all paying $250. $350. We paid that for her. If she had not had us, then who knows what would have happened to her? Would she have made it? Would she have lived 6 years in that nursing care facility had she not had access to getting out of there and getting to the doctor? Y'all think about it, and let's come up with a way to provide what transit authority needs legitimately and relieve this burden from the folks who cannot afford to pay it. And that's all I need to say until next time.
Commissioner Bronson, you got something to say? Did you have something to say on this issue, or is this another personal privilege?
Personal privilege.
Okay.
Unrelated. Thank you for Commissioner Lucas for that. Just real quick, two things on the personal privilege. I had the opportunity to go and present at the National Keep America Beautiful Conference in Washington, D.C. in regards to Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful, on the importance of elected officials and having that partnership with different organizations in order to keep different communities clean, and focusing on recyclables and so forth. So I just wanted to say it was an honor to be there to present on behalf of Macon-Bibb. Alongside in that piece of it, this past weekend, of course, we had a community-wide cleanup. I do want to give a special shout out to Ms. Aisha Ellen with Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful, Robert Walker with Parks and Recs, and of course Michael Glistening over at the beautification department. Yeah, we have picked up so much, and as we already know with our communities, there is a lot of things that's happening around our communities, and it's very important that we focus in on the litter and the blighted areas that's throughout. So if you haven't had a chance to ride your area commissioners, please make sure you get out and do so. It's important that we push for recyclables. It's important we push for, to watch out for areas for illegal dumping and so forth. So I just want to push that out because that has a direct correlation with poverty and, of course, mental health. So when our kids are out walking in schools, it's not good at all. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I know it's already on you guys' plate, but I just wanted to verbally say that to you all while we're at the Horseshoe. The second piece of that is, of course, this upcoming Sunday in regards to pedestrian safety. We have an event being held on Houston Avenue, Open Streets, Houston Avenue. That will be from 1 to 4 o'clock, being led by Bike Walk Macon along Villacrest Avenue and Livermore. We're going to block off Houston Avenue. So we're encouraging family, friends, neighbors, commissioners to come out, bring your skates. I'll be out skating. Virgil will be out riding his skateboard. Bill will be out doing his thing as well. I seen you out there, brother. I know you got moves. All right. But no, seriously, I would encourage everyone that is up on that's listening to the broadcast, that's out here, by all means, come out Houston Avenue. This is a great opportunity for us to change the narrative. Okay, great opportunity for us to change the narrative on what's been taking place in South Macon. Of course, as you know, District 2 runs back and forth across Macon due to the lines, but focus point for this week is going to end up being Houston Avenue, and I just want to encourage everyone to come out so we can change the narrative, show our kids that we care, and that everything just doesn't have to belong on one side of town. All right, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bronson. Commissioner Howell.
I guess point of personal privilege, but actually just bringing news from the Macon Water Authority, and this particularly pertains to you, Mayor Pro Tem. We received news at our meeting Thursday that the new water tower in your district will be getting its new graphics and painting. So all the people that have been complaining about that not getting done, it should be done this month. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Commissioner Watkins?
Yeah, I just want to take a moment and thank the NAACP, Commissioner Lucas, and others for bringing awareness to the issue of our bus fares. I completely stand with y'all and support you in opposing the fee increases. And I guess to the point, I really like the idea of researching more on the zero fare. Because when you think about it, like from information that I've just listening, we collect, what, $1 million on a $6 million budget, with the caveat that, you know, when the city or the county matches, it's matched by the federal government. So if we put up $1 million, the federal government matches us, and that's $2 million to the transit authority, which, if the reason that they're trying to do this is to collect extra funds, that's a better argument than raising the fees. And it also stands out to me that typically, like in like regular business, you raise fees when your demand is so high that there's a reason to. It's justified because everyone wants to eat your burger. You can raise it $1. But when I look at the buses, I've never heard of us talk about overcrowding on our buses or there being lines or any of that thing. That most of the time people talk about how empty they look, and to go up on fees when something is already empty means that it's going to get more empty, which defeats the purpose of us providing the service. So I really want us to look into this more because we want folks to move around, do commerce. Like it's kind of strange to me. It makes sense to make the fares free for us, for Mercer students, because we see the economic benefit of them moving around our downtown and giving money. But we don't see the economic benefit of the workers being able to move around and get to their job and have extra dollars in their pocket. We've got to be able to correlate those two, and I think it'll help us make policy better. So I yield and I support y'all. Thank y'all for showing up and fighting for it.
Mr. Tillman?
Yeah, I'm sitting here contemplating, trying to see how to word this about women in leadership, because the month is March. And I was trying to tie this in because one of our connected Macon natives, the most notable name, Lightfoot, those may know Isaac G. Lightfoot, but one of his family members that's connected to Macon, Georgia, after nearly 40 years. She's the mayor of Chicago, and a lot of people call Chicago Little Iraq. And so under the leadership of Mayor Lightfoot, she's seen significant gun violence and even in reduction. During the month of March, she recently lost her seat in Chicago. And and I'm still struggling how to put the words together, because only a mother, only a woman truly understands the loss of a child through gun violence. And for people to look and try to blame that woman or any mother for that point about gun violence, I just don't understand that. And after 40 years, she's the first person to ever lose her seat in a re-election, and she's a woman, and she has some Middle Georgia ties. So I want to encourage women. This month is about Women Month. Continue to make history. Go out and make history and highlight those that are doing good things in your community, in your neighborhood. We all have them. And let's not blame folks for bad behavior. Criminals that commit gun violence, they're to blame themselves. And I know a lot of us are talking about preventive measures, and a lot of us cater to those 3 to 5, 6, 7-year-olds. Those are not the ones out here pulling the trigger. It's good to have that preventive measures in place, but to blame a woman or a mother for gun violence is just atrocious. And what happened to Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago is just terrible. And so y'all pay attention. Y'all pay attention, women, and understand and speak up and speak out more, because you can really control it, a lot of this stuff with these men that's happening. And I would say to grandmothers and aunties, you know if that young boy didn't buy what you're bringing in his home. We oftentimes look at snitching and all of that stuff, but how do we stop and start to reduce stuff if somebody's doing wrong? We are spending so much money to eradicate and reduce gun violence that I would implore and challenge women this month to stand up just more and speak out. It's not your fault, but just speak up and speak out for our young men that's committing gun violence across this community, while we as a body, while we as a government try to eradicate it or reduce it. And so I just thank you and want to share that.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. This time we need to get a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of consultation with the county attorney or other legal counsel, discuss pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, and all others allowed by law. Can I get a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second? Second by Commissioner Howell. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive session. I get a motion to come out of executive session? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Having come out of executive session, there's no business to attend to tonight. This meeting is hereby adjourned until next Tuesday's commission meeting.